They say the walls of Buckingham Palace have seen everything, scandals, secrets, and whispers that never make the headlines. But nothing prepared the royal household for the day Princess Catherine confronted Queen Camilla in an act that would shake the monarchy to its core. It wasn't gossip. It wasn't speculation. Catherine caught her red-handed, stealing something far more precious than jewels. What followed wasn't just a family dispute. It was a public humiliation that left Camilla with no choice but to leave the palace. For millions across the world, this moment wasn't about crowns or titles. It was about betrayal and the woman who stood up to protect Diana's legacy. The silent heist begins. It was early morning at Kensington Palace, June 18, 2025, when Catherine sensed something was wrong. She was reviewing the royal heirloom inventory, preparing to select a few historic pieces for a private family exhibit honoring Princess Charlotte. But two of the most precious entries were missing: Diana's pearl choker, gifted by the Spencer family for her 18th birthday in 1981, and the Cather pearl drop earrings, a rare diplomatic gift from 1986. The vault log showed no official withdrawal. Both had last been catalogued in March 2023 during a conservation review. The choker, one of Diana's earliest treasures, and the earrings, valued at over $500,000, were to remain untouched until Charlotte turned 18 in 2043. Catherine didn't panic. At 7:45 a.m., she quietly alerted Windsor's private staff, ordering a silent search across 3 locations: Kensington, Windsor Castle, and the off-site vault in Norfolk. By 10 a.m., nothing had been found. Safes remained intact, cameras showed no forced entry, and no staff logs recorded access since May 2nd. Catherine knew this was no clerical mistake. It was deliberate. William acted swiftly. By 12:30 p.m., he ordered an emergency lockdown on all remaining heirlooms and reactivated the 2022 Royal Audit Protocol. Keys were reassigned, and every piece Diana had ever worn was cross-checked. Privately, he told Catherine, "Trust is now a security risk." Both suspected what they dared not yet say aloud. This was a direct strike at Charlotte's inheritance. A luncheon turns into a confrontation. 2 days later, June 20th, Catherine arrived at Buckingham Palace for a casual family luncheon. At 12:15 p.m., the gathering felt ordinary until Laura Lopes, Camilla's daughter, walked in. Catherine's eyes locked on the earrings Laura was wearing. 3-tiered pearls, unmistakable. Within moments, she was certain. They were Diana's missing earrings. She kept her composure, quietly instructing her assistant to verify the design from the archives. The confirmation came quickly. 1986, gift from the Emir of Qatar, same diamond threading. Catherine rose from her chair, looked directly at Laura, and asked, "What are you wearing?" Laura stammered, "A gift from Mother." Camilla, seated nearby, went pale. William, alerted by security, arrived shortly after. In a private study, the palace gemologist examined the earrings. Serial markings and clasp structure all matched. They were the originals. The theft was no longer a theory. It was fact. Camilla and Laura's cover story crumbles. On June 21st, Laura told aides the earrings had been bought at a private auction in 2012. But there was no receipt, no record. The Royal Collection team cross-checked every auction acquisition between 2010 and 2020. Nothing matched. Then came the damning discovery. On April 9, 2025, Camilla had entered the secure jewelry wing housing Catherine's vault. She had no clearance, no escort, and claimed she was researching heritage pieces for an upcoming tour. But no such tour existed. That evening, William met with senior advisors. After hearing the details, he said flatly, "This isn't an error, this is theft." Catherine agreed. "If we do nothing, we're saying Diana's memory is disposable." Less than 2 days later, the story leaked. On June 23rd, The Times ran the headline, "Queen's family linked to missing Diana jewels." Public outrage was swift and unforgiving. Social media comments cut deep. "You didn't just steal earrings, you stole from Diana's granddaughter." Outside the palace, the scandal was front-page news. Inside, William was preparing the ultimate response, not just removing Camilla from the situation, but stripping her of the royal privilege she still clung to. The monarchy was no longer about titles, it was about trust, and that trust had been shattered. Camilla's royal privilege stripped. By June 24, 2025, Prince William had made his decision final. In a confidential royal directive filed through Kensington Palace's Internal Affairs Office, he revoked Camilla's access to all heirloom archives and ceremonial planning. The document, signed just after 3 p.m., formally removed her from any future role involving Diana's personal collection, the rotation of royal jewelry, or the curation of historical wardrobes. "You don't get to rewrite Diana's legacy," William told a senior aide. "Not with public relations and certainly not through theft." Staff were discreetly informed that Camilla was no longer welcome in Kensington's private residences. Though she remained queen consort in title, her practical influence vanished in a single day. She was barred from Wales-led events, her security clearance downgraded, and for the first time since 2005, she was absent from the Royal Council's Summer Heirloom Strategy meeting in Sandringham. The exit was quiet, but absolute. No press statement, no apology, no explanation. Yet everyone within palace walls understood. One insider put it plainly. She wasn't thrown out physically, but she was thrown out completely. She no longer walks where Diana walked. Catherine stayed silent. She issued no public comment, instead focusing on Charlotte's summer schedule, school engagements, charity visits, and private archival tours. The official routine continued, but the balance of power had shifted. The media pounced. The Telegraph called it an internal exile. The Guardian labeled it a correction of the royal narrative. On social media, suitcase emojis flooded timelines alongside hashtags like "thrown out" and "not your crown." For the public, it was more than gossip. It was justice. The monarchy hadn't simply reacted, it had chosen a side. For William and Catherine, this wasn't revenge. It was protection. The crown is not merely an institution, it's the keeper of memory. When someone tries to alter those memories, action must follow. Yet inside the palace, the real shock wasn't Camilla's brazenness. It was the pattern that emerged once the whispers began. Whispers from 1993, from 1996, from scandals thought long buried. The past was returning, sharper than ever. The theft that crossed a sacred line. For the royal family, jewelry is not mere decoration. It is history told in gemstones. Diana's pearl choker from 1981 marked the start of her royal journey. The Cather pearl drop earrings from 1986 symbolized her rise to global prominence. To Catherine, they were sacred. Losing them wasn't just losing property, it was losing a piece of a mother's legacy meant for her granddaughter. Camilla's actions broke a line no apology could repair. Private documents revealed that in 2022, Queen Elizabeth II had explicitly ordered all of Diana's heirlooms to remain within the direct Wales bloodline, William, Catherine, and Charlotte. Camilla's intrusion violated not only vault security, but also the late Queen's written wishes. Worse, she hadn't kept the jewels for herself. She'd handed them to her daughter, Laura Lopes, a private citizen with no role in the monarchy. To the public, it felt as though a stranger had stepped into Diana's legacy and worn it like a costume. For those who remembered the grief of 1997, the insult was raw. Commentators called it an emotional robbery. Newspapers reprinted photos of Diana in her pearls beside images of Laura in the same earrings. One headline summed it up: "From Diana to Charlotte, interrupted." Camilla's dark past comes back. By late June, as Camilla withdrew from public view, Old scandals resurfaced. Scandals she had spent decades trying to bury. News reports didn't stop at the stolen jewels. They revisited the affair with Charles during Diana's marriage, the leaked tampon gate tapes of 1993, and the years of whispered phone calls. For years after her 2005 marriage to Charles, Camilla had crafted an image of quiet dignity, supported by friendly media and a calculated PR strategy. Now, that image unraveled. Palace insiders whispered that she had accessed Windsor storage in 2017, 2019, and 2021 under the pretext of heritage review. Those items hadn't been reported missing, but the pattern raised suspicions. This wasn't a one-time mistake, one aide said. It was a habit. The contrast with Catherine was stark. Catherine had never sought jewels for herself, never claimed the spotlight, and never compromised trust. Public sentiment shifted decisively. Diana had once lost her crown to scandal. Now her memory was reclaiming it through her daughter-in-law. The press would not let it go. The palace could not bury it. Camilla's past had returned, and this time, it would not be silenced. Catherine, however, remained quiet, not out of fear, but because she was already acting. What had been stolen was now secured. What remained would be defended. Not just with force, but with something far stronger. Legacy. William steps forward. While Catherine quietly fortified the family's legacy, William took a more direct route. On July 4, 2025, he issued an unprecedented internal directive. No heirlooms would be accessible to non-Wales family members. Camilla, her daughter Laura Lopes, and their associates were formally barred from the Royal Heirloom Registry permanently. For the first time, Diana's name, possessions, and legacy were explicitly written into royal policy as protected. In a private meeting at Clarence House, William confronted his father. "If you won't defend her legacy, I will," he reportedly told Charles. The king gave no public reply, but insiders described him as shaken and increasingly isolated. Within weeks, he canceled 2 joint appearances with Camilla, including one in Gloucestershire. Rumors swirled of a crown quietly fracturing from within. Meanwhile, Kensington Palace created a special heirloom task force. 7 staff members dedicated to tracking, preserving, and securing every item Diana once wore. "He's not just protecting Charlotte," a royal archivist explained. "He's reinforcing history and locking the doors Diana never could." Letters flooded in from across the Commonwealth, thousands, many addressed directly to Charlotte. One note from an 82-year-old Canadian woman read simply, "Diana would be proud of your mommy." Online support surged again with hashtags like Protect Charlotte, Diana Forever, and The True Legacy. The Court of Public Opinion. By July 7, 2025, the verdict was clear. This wasn't only about theft or betrayal, it was about who upheld values and who tried to dismantle them. Justice for Diana trended in over 80 countries, while Dupper Charlotte Deserves better reached 1 million mentions in 2 days. Even the BBC devoted a special segment, Legacy Reclaimed, the Catherine Effect. Camilla, absent from public duties, became a cautionary tale, a queen consort in name, but a figure in exile. Decades of careful image restoration crumbled in weeks. One viral commentator asked, "Can you lose a crown you were never truly meant to wear?" Meanwhile, Catherine and Charlotte appeared together at a children's charity in Oxford. There were no jewels, no grandeur, just quiet smiles. Yet to the watching public, the message was unmistakable. The future of Diana's legacy was safe, and it lived in the hands of a daughter and a mother who understood its worth. But the storm was far from over. Behind the palace gates, whispers turned into strategy. Old allies of Diana reached out, offering private photographs, letters, and even unreleased footage, pieces of history long hidden from the public eye. Catherine began assembling them into a secure archive, a living record that no one could steal or rewrite. And while William strengthened the walls of the monarchy's trust, Catherine was building something far greater, an unshakable bridge between Diana's past and Charlotte's future. In the eyes of the people, the message was crystal clear. This wasn't just about jewels anymore. This was about protecting the crown's soul. And for the first time in decades, the people believed it was in the right hands. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss out on the latest updates. Stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next video.